You are listening to the Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome, everyone. There is just an incredible amount of marketing information flying around, isn't there? Cutting-edge stuff you want to explore. It feels like, I don't know, every few months the whole game changes, whether you're prepping for a meeting or just trying to stay curious.
Yeah, absolutely. And today we've got a lot to unpack, especially around high growth strategies. We're seeing, I think, a huge market reset. It's driven by two really big things. One is the hyper efficiency of generative AI, cold logic, really. And then at the same time, you've got this fundamental shift in how Gen Z builds trust, how they decide what's worth their loyalty.
Right, that's the core tension, isn't it? So our goal today is to wade through the data and pull out actual strategies. How do you stay visible when algorithms just seem to love what's new? And how do you build real connection when loyalty seems to follow the latest trend? It's a balancing act, technical and cultural.
Exactly. And I think the first place we absolutely have to start is search visibility. That stable ground we thought we had, it's shifting dramatically. There's this powerful force, we're calling it AI recency bias. And it means that really high-quality content, stuff you maybe spent a lot building, if it's a bit older, it's facing a real threat.
Okay, let's talk about that. That Waseda University study. The findings there are, frankly, a bit scary. You're saying just having a recent timestamp, that alone can massively change how AI models rank content.
It's more than just a factor. It's like a systemic preference built in, almost. The study found timestamps alone could shift top 10 results by, get this, up to 5 years. Think about that. A recent date can bump something up 95 ranks in these AI search models, even if the content itself isn't actually better than the older piece.
Wait, hold on. If we're burying good, older stuff just because of a date, isn't that making the AI worse, less useful? I mean, shouldn't the models be smarter than that? It feels like a huge flaw.
That's the tension, right? The bias is there because the models are often, trying to get the very freshest information. But that preference for new over best ended up reversing between 8 and 25% of relevance judgments in their tests. It basically ends up favoring quick, low-effort content, what some people are starting to call AI slop stuff that's easy to generate but maybe not that valuable.
Okay, technical question then. Are all the big language models equally, I don't know, susceptible to this timestamp vanity?
No, they're not. If you're looking at models like GPT-4o and Qwen 2.572b, the ones with bigger context windows, maybe more sophisticated tuning, you seem more resistant. But other really popular ones like Elam A38b and the older GPT 3.5 Turbo, they're heavily influenced. It seems like they weigh that timestamp way too much in the first pass.
Okay, so the big takeaway for anyone listening is that whole set it and forget it approach to content. Dead, completely gone. You have to be constantly maintaining things now.
Precisely, yeah. Staying visible means regular updates, managing timestamps actively, sending clear signals about, the temporal context, just making sure your stuff gets pulled into that AI answer pipeline.
And some companies are already figuring this out, this answer engine optimization, or AEO. Tell us about Docebo.
Docebo, yeah, they're a great example. Yeah. An enterprise learning system. They're attributing 12.7% of their high-intent pipeline directly to AI discovery. That's a 5-fold increase year over year.
Yeah.
Just massive. They saw the shift early.
Wow. Okay. What did they actually do to capture that pipeline? What changed?
Well, they got really obsessed with AEO principles. Targeting late funnel keywords, sure, but also completely rethinking content structure. Yeah. Adding clear FAQs, comparison tables, structured data, all the things LLMs love when they're trying to generate those quick overviews. They're basically optimizing to be the source of the answer, not just, links someone might click.
That makes total sense, because if the AI is just giving the answer directly in the overview, why click? Especially for those non-branded general questions. So what does that do to their overall search strategy then?
It shifts. Defensively, Docebo found branded terms now make up 85% of their search traffic. 85%. As AI handles the non-branded queries, the game becomes reinforcing your brand authority, making sure the AI picks you as the trusted source, and that users then search for you by name.
So less focus on the initial click for a broad topic.
Right. More focus on sealing the deal with that high-quality, late-stage branded search. That's where the conversion happens now.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. If AI is pushing us towards this constant content churn, always updating, we absolutely need frameworks. We need something solid to make sure all that work actually drives business growth, not just, running on a hamster wheel. We need to think about content as a service, CAS. Seriously implement it.
CAS is, I think, the necessary next step. It forces you to treat content not like some fluffy add-on, but like a core business function, like engineering, like finance. Under CAS, every single piece of content, every asset, it serves an internal client. Maybe it's sales needing battle cards, or customer success needing better onboarding guides, or product needing competitive comparisons.
And that builds an accountability.
Yeah, exactly. The metrics aren't just, did we publish X blogs?
Right.
They're tied to real business outcomes. Are sales cycles getting shorter? Is churn reducing? It swaps out that sort of aimless busy work for strategic output. The content team becomes accountable for actually driving growth.
And speaking of surprising ways to drive efficacy, we found this brilliant little nugget from behavioral economics that sometimes adding a bit of friction can actually increase conversions. I love that.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Why would making something harder lead to a better result? But this research, across 8 different experiments, found that asking customers to do a tiny task, enter a promo code, solve a simple Sanofi TCHA to get a discount. It boosted redemption rates by up to 59%.
I knew it. That totally explains why I still feel vaguely satisfied using a paper coupon at the grocery store. It feels like I won something small rather than just being handed it. It's that feeling of earning it.
It creates a sense of ownership. Exactly. People feel more rewarded when they earn it, even if the effort is minimal. That little psychological nudge makes them more likely to actually use the discount and buy the thing. It shows optimizing for efficacy isn't always about making things easier. Sometimes it's about optimizing the feeling of reward.
And that focus on efficacy, on what actually works, is reshaping budgets too. We're seeing big shifts in marketing spend. Money's moving away from some of the traditional digital ads and flowing straight into creator marketing. It's like creator marketing has hit its era of efficacy.
Oh, the budget shifts are huge. Creator marketing budget's up, 171% year over year? It's staggering, and the data backs it up. Long-term influencer ROI is hitting 151, which is way better than standard paid social. But the key difference is it's about fit, not just reach.
So it's not about finding the person with millions of followers necessarily.
Not primarily, no.
It's about finding the creator who genuinely aligns with the brand, the mission.
Exactly. The focus now is on long-term relationships, authentic fit. The data shows that deep connection delivers much higher ROI than just chasing massive, maybe transient follower numbers. Especially true in areas like health and beauty, where authenticity is everything.
Okay, so with all this content needing to be created and internal, external creator stuff, you need a way to guide it, a compass. We found this quick planning method, A/B shift, seems useful.
Yeah, it's a neat little framework. It helps cut through those endless, rambling brainstorms and make sure content actually has a point, an action-oriented purpose. In just a few minutes, you define point A, that's the customer's pain point, their current situation. Then point B, the desired state, the solution you offer.
And the shift, that's the bridge between...
The shift is the crucial bit, yeah. It's the mindset change, or the behavior change, or the specific action somebody needs to take to get from A to B. Using this simple structure helps ensure every piece of content, whether it's an ad or an internal memo, is actually guiding the audience toward a specific measurable outcome. Makes things much tighter.
Okay, let's pivot a bit now. Let's think about the human side. Because what's so fascinating is, while AI is demanding all this logic, this efficiency, the audience, especially Gen Z, seems to be moving towards something much more emotional, a trend-driven economy. They're totally redefining trust.
This is such a critical shift, moving away from traditional brand loyalty towards what we're calling trend loyalty. Gen Z, they seem less attached to, big corporate histories. They prioritize the moment, the community buzz, the cultural relevance.
Give us the numbers on that. How real is this shift?
Oh, it's real. They act on instinct, on what the community validates. Get this, 45% of Gen Z consumers say they trust viral products more, and 43% admit buying things just because they were trending. But maybe the most shocking number, 64% of shoppers say they are loyal to products, the specific hot item, rather than the brand behind it. Loyalty's shelf life is just getting shorter and shorter.
Wow. Okay, so that demand for cultural relevance, it means boring corporate speech just won't cut it anymore. You need actual cultural storytelling.
Absolutely. You have to tell cultural stories, not just turn out what we earlier called marketing slop. Look at Gap. They managed a pretty successful revival. Right? They stopped acting like this dusty old mall brand. They repositioned as a cultural storyteller. Campaigns with people like Tyla, Troye Sivan. And crucially, they co-created products with influencers like Julia Hoon. It made their social content feel way more organic, authentic, connected.
And this authenticity push, it applies inside the company too, right? This idea of employee-generated content, EGC, having real impact.
Yes, because authenticity just lands better than a polished press release, doesn't it? LinkedIn, for example, is seeing great returns from sponsoring posts by actual employees, not just the official company page stuff.
Mm.
When you see a product marketer using that sort of creator style to talk about, say, the power of video on the platform,
Yeah.
it feels like a real person sharing something useful, not a corporation pushing a feature.
But you need a way to scale that. How do you actually motivate employees to become regular brand ambassadors? It can't just be goodwill.
You gamify it, and you offer incentives. Financial ones. Look at the results from StoryArb's LinkedIn competition. Just 14 employees participated, but a $5,000 prize pool. It drove 7 million impressions, boosted web traffic 55%, grew followers 54%. Money talks, and gamification works. It turns your own workforce into this incredibly effective, authentic marketing engine.
You know, this is exactly the kind of stuff I love getting into on the Vocal Technologist. It's where the hard tech strategies of AI meet the squishier human strategies of connection. They have to merge.
Okay, so let's try and tie these two big forces together as we wrap up. First, you've got AI demanding efficiency, constant updates, recency. That forces us into AEO, into constantly refining content structures. Second, you have the human audience, particularly Gen Z, demanding authenticity, cultural relevance, trendiness. That makes storytelling, creator partnerships, employee advocacy absolutely vital for connection.
So you have to satisfy the algorithm's cold logic and the human heart's need for connection, both at once.
Exactly. And, you know, I think the history of electronic music actually offers a pretty interesting analogy for where we are right now. Think about it. When technology like cheap synths and drum machines back then, or generative AI now, makes content creation dramatically easier and cheaper, what happens?
The market gets flooded. Lots of stuff, easily made, some good, maybe lots not so good. The AI slop again.
Right. Ubiquitous, effortless to create, often disposable. And when creation itself becomes easy, success starts depending less on the act of creation and much more on the discipline of selection. On structure, you need really robust systems like COS, like AEO, that can actually highlight the meaningful work, the valuable stuff, and help you stand out from that infinite sea of machine-generated content.
It's about designing your team, your workflows to be the filter, not just the floodgate pouring more stuff out.
Precisely. So the final thought, the provocation for you to take away. In this new world awash with limitless content, how are you designing your systems? How are you focusing your team? How do you prioritize finding and amplifying that rare signal, the authentic story, the perfectly structured answer in a world that's already overwhelmed by easily created content? That, I think, is the real strategic battleground for the next decade.
Spoken Tech for your ears.